You're banned from Thanksgiving until you apologize to your cousin, Mom said on speaker. Someone laughed in the background. She can eat leftovers in the garage. Who do you think paid for the turkey and half those groceries? I said. The line went quiet, except for another giggle. We don't need your little contributions, Mom snapped. Learn some respect. Okay, I whispered. Let's see what happens when I stop paying. I'm Olivia Grant. I'm 27, and in my family, I'm the one who never made a scene but somehow always ended up footing the bill. I work as a junior financial analyst, the kind who can turn a messy spreadsheet into a clean plan and make sure a late bill gets paid by the deadline. When Dad had surgery last year, I stepped in to cover what insurance didn't. And then I just kept stepping in because no one else stepped up. It started with the family phone plan, then the internet, then a surprise copay, then just till next month. Suddenly my quiet yes became the floor everyone walked on. I wasn't rich or glamorous, but I had something nobody expected. Discipline, receipts, and a backbone that only grew stronger when they laughed at my old car. Has your family ever treated you like this? Tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I read everyone. The group text pinged. Final headcount for Thanksgiving. Names rolled down the screen like a guest list to a party I'd helped fund, and mine wasn't there. I typed, "Did you forget me?" Cousin Dylan replied, "Limited seating. Try Christmas if you behave." I stared at the three dots as if they could spell out what I already knew about my place in this family. I called Mom and heard clinking dishes and laughter, like the party had already started without me. "You're not invited until you apologize to Dylan for ruining his promotion dinner," she said, like she was reading from a rule book I'd never seen. "By ruining, you mean asking why he keeps borrowing rent money while he's crushing it in sales?" I asked. Uncle Ray shouted in the background, "There she goes again. Budget cop." I swallowed the heat in my chest and said, "You want drama? Then stop using my debit card on autopay." A door slammed on their end like they didn't believe me, and the call cut off. 10 minutes later, Aunt Patrice texted, "Don't make this about money. Family comes first." Then she posted a gratitude photo without me. A long table, candles, and everyone tagged but me. I put my phone face down and stared at the wall, feeling the outline of a decision I'd seen coming all year. On Thanksgiving Day, my feed filled with plates stacked with turkey and pie and captions like, "Best family ever." Mom sent a separate text. "We saved you a plate. Porch pickup." Like I was a delivery driver instead of her daughter. When I went by later, a neighbor's cat sniffed the foil pot at the corner, and I left it there on purpose. Black Friday morning, I went to the bakery for coffee and a bagel, thinking I could pretend the day was normal. Aunt Patrice waved me forward and told the cashier. She's sensitive about success. "Keep the small talk short," like I was a warning label. The woman behind me muttered, "Ouch." The cashier kept her eyes on the till. I walked out without my bagel and sat in my car until the heat cleared my foggy breath off the windshield. That afternoon, Dylan called like nothing had happened. "Front me $600 for my girlfriend's gift and I'll Venmo Friday," he said. "And then we'd all feel better if you just said sorry and stopped being difficult." I didn't answer right away. He filled the silence with, "Family takes care of each other." I hung up, opened my notes app and wrote, "Dates, amounts, reasons. Tires for Dad, meds after surgery, the electric bill they forgot twice, the internet that kept somehow getting paid." None of it was one time, even when they swore it would be. Around dinner time, Dad called and said, "Just a quick $300 for a deposit before the bank closes." Like I wasn't at work every day too. In his voice, I heard how easy my yes had made everyone else's life, and how small it had made mine. I typed a line at the top of the file. "What they don't know is about to save me." I turned off notifications and let the phone buzz itself tired on the couch. What they didn't know was I had every receipt, bank screenshot, and text saved. Who asked when they asked what I paid and how they promised they'd handle everything else next time. What they didn't know was I still owned the family phone plan. No one wanted to transfer the internet login or the autopay authorization on their mortgage they never asked about. What they didn't know was a mentor at work told me boundaries are love with a spine, and I practiced on the spreadsheet first. Move one bill back to its owner, then another. I wasn't planning a dramatic scene. I was preparing a mirror. And the numbers were going to do the talking. I printed everything and slid it into a cheap binder. I bought from the office supply store down the street. I wrote a simple cover page. This is what I did for you and this is what I won't do anymore. On Saturday, I met my mentor Grace at a quiet cafe with wooden chairs that creaked. I pushed the binder across the table. She leafed through it, her face flat until she hit the totals, and sucked in a slow breath. You've been a safety net, not a daughter, she said softly. Time to cut the net. Walk me through it, I said. And she did. Notices sent, authorization revoked, account ownership changed. All clean, all legal, all simple once I decided I was done. On my way home, I opened the banking app and moved through my checklist like stepping stones across a river. Revoke mortgage autopay. Remove saved card on the electric company. Port the phone plan to a prepaid account in my own name. Let them set up their own. On Sunday night, Dylan posted a story, a table full of leftovers, a caption that said, "Real loyalty isn't about money." The comments were full of clapping hands. I muted him and watched my screen go quiet. Monday in the hardware store, I heard Uncle Ray tell someone in the next aisle, "We've got her in line now. She'll come around." I kept walking, paid for light bulbs and stuck the receipt in my pocket like a small promise to myself. That evening, Mom left a voicemail that started calm and turned cold. "Since you won't apologize, skip Christmas too. And don't embarrass us with your loan spreadsheets," she said. Like the truth was an insult and my boundary was a threat. I listened twice, then deleted it, and sat very still in my quiet apartment. 2 days later, Mom called frantic. "The mortgage didn't clear," she said, as if the world had tilted. I felt something settle in me, like a stone finding the bottom of a lake. "I'll come by," I said, and grabbed the binder. At the kitchen table, with the blinds half open and a cold cup of coffee sweating onto a coaster, I put the binder down between us. "This is private," I said, glancing toward the hallway. "No audience." Dad sat, his face gray around the mouth. "We thought Dylan was helping," he whispered. I turned the binder to face him. "He told you that because I was paying it," I said. "Here are the transfers by date from my account to your mortgage company." Mom's hand shook as she flipped pages, pausing at a list of groceries, heating, prescriptions, the phones in their pockets. 3 years of lines," I said quietly. 3 years of me. You banned me from Thanksgiving until I apologized. So I stopped paying for the holiday you enjoyed without me. And I'm done funding the parts of me you're ashamed of. The front door opened. Dylan walked in like he lived there. He stopped when he saw the binder. "You're really doing this?" he asked, like my choice was an act of aggression instead of care for myself. I slid a clear sleeve across the table. His text requests highlighted in yellow. The dates, the I'll Venmo Friday, the never did. He scanned them and looked up, but no words came out. "You can call it betrayal," I said. "But it's a boundary." Dad rubbed his forehead. "We didn't know," he said again, like if he said it enough he could make it different. Mom stared at the totals on the last page. Her eyes got wet. "We would have thanked you," she said. I shook my head. "No," I said. "You would have kept me paying." I stood because sitting made me feel small. "I'm not asking for anything back," I said. Both of them looked surprised, like I just removed their last excuse. "I'm just done. From now on, you handle your bills." I tapped the binder once with my finger. I left notes on which accounts you need to call, and how to set up your own autopay. "I'm not your bank." Dylan opened his mouth, closed it, then said, "You can't just leave them like this." My laugh came out soft and tired. "I'm leaving them like adults," I said. "Which you also are." He looked away first. Dad tried again. "What about Christmas?" he asked, voice thin. "I'll see how I feel," I said. And I meant it in a way I'd never allowed myself to mean anything in this family. I tucked the binder under my arm and walked out into a bright, ugly afternoon that felt cleaner than any holiday table I'd been left off. On the drive home, the light turned red and I felt a sudden rush of fear. What if they cut me off for real? What if no one called again? Then the green arrow flashed. I turned and I realized I'd been living in fear of that silence for years. Maybe it was exactly what I needed. By the next week, the group chat posted, "Who can help reorganize bills?" with a string of awkward emojis and 0 volunteers. Someone added, "Dylan," and he sent a single eye roll. Then the chat went quiet. I watched the dots appear and disappear and felt nothing but relief. Aunt Patrice posted a quote about humility, and for the first time in a long time no one tagged me under it. Dylan's weekend photo dumps slowed. Fewer dinners out, more nights in with old board games and dim lamps. Mom texted me a recipe for a casserole like nothing had happened. I didn't respond. 2 days later she sent a longer text. I didn't realize how much you did. Followed by, we'll figure it out. I read it twice and put my phone down. That night I made tea in my small kitchen and balanced my own budget. I smiled at how simple the numbers looked when they only belonged to me. I wish I could say there was one big apology and a neat bow at the end. There wasn't. But there were smaller things. Dad calling to ask how to set up autopay and actually writing down the steps. Mom paying a bill late and paying the fee herself without asking me to fix it. Dylan not texting, which might be the most honest thing he's done in months. Grace checking in to ask, how's your piece? And me answering, quieter. I kept the binder on my shelf, not as a threat, but as a memory of what I let go and what I chose instead. A week before Christmas, Mom called and said, if you want to come, there's a seat. Her voice had less iron and more air. I asked, is there also respect? We both let the question hang there. We're trying, she said. I believe she meant it even if she didn't know how yet. I'll think about it, I said. After we hung up, I sat in the dark with the tree lights on. The room smelled like pine and orange peels. I thought about how many times I bought peace with money and called it love. I thought about the plate on the porch and the cat who probably had a better Thanksgiving than I did. Then I thought about the moment at the kitchen table when the numbers finally said what I never could without being called dramatic. I realized I never wanted to go back to being the person who apologized for saving people from their choices. On Christmas Eve, I took a walk in my neighborhood and watched the windows glow. A couple argued softly and then laughed. A kid pressed his face to the glass to watch snow flurries catch the streetlight. My phone buzzed. Dylan, for the first time since the binder. I didn't know, he wrote. Then, I'm sorry. I stood under a tree and read it twice. I didn't reply. Not yet. I turned off my screen and kept walking. Each breath felt like it belonged to me. New Year's Day, I cleaned my apartment and found the old envelope where I used to tuck receipts for family emergencies. I threw it away. I made a new folder called Plans. Inside, I put a list of classes I wanted to take and a savings goal for a trip I'd been putting off. I drank coffee that I didn't rush, and listened to a playlist that wasn't trying to calm me down from anything. In the afternoon, Dad called to say, we set up the autopay. I smiled because he said we, not you. He paused and added, I'm sorry for making you feel like a purse. The apology sounded raw and new in his mouth. Thank you, I said. That helps. Later that week, I passed the bakery where Aunt Patrice had waved me forward like I was a problem to manage. I went in. The same cashier looked up and smiled. What can I get you? Everything bagel, toasted cream cheese, I said like a person ordering breakfast on a regular day. When I stepped back onto the sidewalk, I took a bite. It tasted like something simple that didn't owe me anything. I'll be honest, sometimes I still check the group chat and feel a sting when I see a thread of inside jokes I wasn't there for. Sometimes I wonder if I'm being stubborn. Then I remember the porch plate and the binder and my own voice in that kitchen saying, I'm not your bank. And I know I'm not being stubborn. I'm being whole. I keep a sticky note on my fridge that says, no is a complete sentence. It's silly, but it helps when someone tries to turn my boundary into a debate. I don't owe anyone a PowerPoint for why I won't pay their phone bill again. Spring came. The air turned soft. The first daffodils in the median looked like tiny yellow hands waving hello. Mom invited me to dinner. No occasion, no conditions. I went. We ate pasta and talked about nothing serious. Every few minutes she looked like she wanted to apologize again, and then didn't. I let the quiet heal on its own. When I left, she hugged me. It lasted a second longer than usual. Like we both recognized the cost of that hug and paid it willingly. I don't know what next Thanksgiving will be like. Maybe I'll be at the table. Maybe I'll take a trip somewhere cold and silly and drink cocoa out of a paper cup. What I do know is I won't be buying a seat with my silence or my bank account. I won't be the porch plate. I won't be the autopay ghost. For once, their silence didn't hurt me. It freed me. Subscribe for more true stories of betrayal, justice, and strength. Because someone out there needs proof that boundaries aren't cruelty, they're care. Where are you watching from? Drop it in the comments. Your voice matters here more than old family rules that never protected anyone. If you've ever had to prove your worth to those who doubted you, tell me your story. Let this be a place where we don't apologize for saving ourselves.